I'd like to thank everyone for being here today. One of the reasons that we pulled this group together, and a very distinguished group at that, is National American University in our 70-year history. We've come to develop two non-negotiables as an institution. One of those non-negotiables is quality of programming and quality of what we do. And over the years, in the 70-year history as an institution, we've had long-standing relationships with the community college institutions around the country. In fact, Dr. Bob Paxton, one of the more recent additions to our team, coming from a community college background, and we got to talking about how can we as an institution better meet the needs and better cooperate and work with community college institutions around the country. And so Dr. Paxton started talking about a working relationship with Dr. John Roueche, and that led us to the development of this group, so that as an institution we can look at best practices across the country and say how can we better partnership and work with community colleges around the country under the sole purpose to better serve the students. And so that's our background, which led to this group. And Dr. Paxton, I turn it over to you for any additions that you'd want to add.
I'd only say that as I said earlier today, it's an honor to have each one of you here around the table. It's been a phenomenal experience today to sit and listen and grow from this. And I said earlier it would have been a wonderful time for several of our staff to just sit in the background and hear some of the great things that you had to share today. But one of the things that I learned several years ago from you, Dr. Roueche, is the importance of great leaders in community colleges and being on the cutting edge, and the importance of staff development, and the importance of not only staff development and leadership, but staff development of your faculty, and to really meet the needs of the students. And you certainly have been at the forefront of all of this for the last 40 years, and it is an honor to have you and this cohort of who I believe are the best of community college leaders in the nation here today, and it's been a wonderful, phenomenal experience, and so thank you. And really, as we embark on this endeavor, we all look to you and to this team to lead us forward and take us to where we need to be. And so thank you very much for being here, and maybe you can share a little bit about what you see happening from here.
It's a very interesting time to be involved in American higher education. You know, the Chinese had this saying, "May you live in interesting times," and a lot of people thought that was a blessing, but it was a curse. And so we're living in very, very, very interesting times. I was in a meeting in Dallas 2 weeks ago when a leader in our field, not the community college field, but higher ed, said, "I believe the last building that will ever be constructed on a university campus is now under construction." And his point, it was a very, very interesting meeting, his point was that the model is broken, and we can't just keep increasing tuition and so forth for people because there's going to be an absolute drop-dead response to the levels of tuition that are there now. Community colleges are in a very, very, very interesting place at this point in time, in that enrollments are escalating in dramatic fashions, and yet state, local support for those students, the increasing number of students, has been going south for quite a while. And so colleges in California are turning away students. Graduates from community colleges are having a difficult time being admitted into four-year colleges as part of the transfer agreements they have. So there couldn't be a better time to be partnering with community colleges, given the charge they have, given the new responsibilities they've got with economic development, workforce development, and the like, to be working in this venue. In Texas alone, we're talking about increasing by 700,000 to 800,000 new students in Texas higher education over the next 5 to 6 years. Well, that's 14 campuses the size of UT Austin, and there are no plans to build a single new campus in our state, and the state couldn't afford it if they decided to. Guess where all of those students are going? They're going to end up, a few in some state colleges, but most of our major universities are maxed out. The great majority of them are going to end up in community colleges. Well, who are they? Well, they're first generation college attendees. They're working mothers. They're going part-time. They've got to go part-time because they're self-funding their education. So if you like change, we're in a sea of change. And if we want interesting times, we're in them. So I think there's not a better time to be looking at a partnership with American community colleges.
This is a great opportunity with NAU, with National American University, to be thinking in out of the box, if you will, in flexible, exciting, new partnership types of avenues and approaches that are going to help ensure that we continue to create a pathway for our senior leaders that are of great need now and into the future.
Roberto, as I've thought about today and who's at the table, I think about what have been the leadership needs of the past, and I think about the community college leadership program that, John, you've had at the University of Texas for 40 years now, and that what today represents to me is a rebirthing of a community college leadership program with NAU and the members of the advisory board to envision what that can be to help fill the capacity gap that we have.
The leadership support system in the nation's universities has changed dramatically. Great decline while increasing need, as Gerardo said, great increasing need for leaders. Right now in California, of 112 community colleges, we have 1/3 of those colleges with presidents either on an interim basis or the positions are vacant. And it trickles right down onto the vice presidents. There's tremendous need for leadership development. And I've been excited today to hear some of the plans for National American University in terms of some of the issues and some of the leadership skills that will be addressed. And I think what captures my attention most and is of most interest to me is that there's a consideration on the table for preparing leaders for the core business in the community college, which really is improving and expanding student learning. That's the bottom line business, and George Boggs really started us on that development over 10 years ago when he really fathered the learning college, the learning paradigm concept, and that idea has really helped us focus on what we are all about in the community college. And then more recently, I think a more contemporary expression of that is the whole success agenda, the student success agenda, or the completion agenda, as the Gates Foundation, the Lumina Foundation, through Achieving the Dream, have focused our attention. And what I'm excited about with this possibilities of this new very different kind of hybrid program at National American University is trying to prepare leaders to address those essential core skills to prepare leaders to really be people who really foster and support and encourage and enhance the learning of students, because that really is our core business.
Today's leaders, I think, are leading in an environment that is more complex than it has ever been. The economy has caused finances to be a critical issue. Leaders are struggling with triage in some cases. Students are being turned away. Which students should be turned away? Very difficult issues. At least the most effective leaders are thinking about it and dealing with it and not just letting it happen. So I think it is a complex environment, and now, of course, we're focused on helping students to be successful, getting them through to completion, whatever completion means, which might not be a degree, but maybe a certificate or maybe a job placement. So I'm really pleased to see National American University talking about the broad range of partnerships with American community colleges. All too often, public universities have to be dragged into this discussion by state legislatures. So here we have a university actually reaching out to community colleges, talking about partnerships, talking about the needs for leaders of the future, and I'm really pleased to be part of that discussion, so thank you to NAU.
And I think, George, that's why it's really important that we take a look at the new skills and new competencies that will be necessary for new presidents and vice presidents coming into community college work today. As we think about legislators cutting budgets, how will our presidents of the future become more entrepreneurial? How will they do a better job of raising funds to offset the cuts the legislatures brought about? What about the changing faculty? A recently retired president myself, certainly the faculty I left much more involved in technology than I have been. How will future presidents lead those technological changes that are going to be necessary, even in our course delivery, be it online, be it hybrids? How are we going to make those changes? And I think being a new president today really says you're going to have to learn to change quickly. We no longer have the luxury of having 3 or 4 years to make decisions, decide what we're going to do. Today, we're having to make decisions really in just about every 6 months with a change coming around. So I applaud NAU for having the foresight and the vision to really put together a program for the future of community college presidents and how we can better contribute to the family of community colleges in this country and move forward with leaders who will truly make a difference in the success of all the students we're supposed to serve.
Well, this reminds me of a conversation and some great partnerships from the past, but one in particular with the late Bill Wenrick. He was a Chancellor Emeritus of the Dallas County Community College District. Dear friend, colleague, mentor to all of us, I know. And we at the League, we asked him to contribute a chapter to a fundraising publication in community colleges years ago. And the title of his chapter was, "It's not the race I signed up for, but it's the race I'm in."
Yep.
And so I think that's a great statement for the changing nomenclature with regard to leadership skills, not just in fundraising, but really across the boards with regard to how they've changed dramatically. And that's what's exciting about this effort, because it's about really thinking carefully and strategically about what those skills are, what they're going to be, because they're changing dramatically and not what they were just a few years ago.
Yep.
Exactly.
Well, I'd wrap it up with saying that in the conversations we've heard, it's nice to know that there's much to do, which we appreciate, and more so to truly thank each and every one of you for serving on this advisory committee to help guide us with your wisdom and knowledge and background, which is probably second to none in the nation. So again, wanted to thank each and every one of you for serving on this committee to help us develop some of those strategies and hopefully some of the solutions to the challenges we've talked about. So thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.